I'm Delta Work, and this is Very Scary Delta. It's monsoon season because Jinkx is here. We talk about sisterhood, garbage disposals, and Halloween candy. But first, do you want to see me go off? Because I think you want to see me go off.
Oh.
Mom!
Do you hold the space? Are you very scary like me? Ghoulish, gory? Ooh, are you on the edge like me? Turned on by a corpse? Bargains fall across the strip mall. The lunch hour is close at hand. Karens crawl in search of managerial blood, and goblin monsters terrorize this 99-cent neighborhood. Pumpkin spice, flickering candles, seasonal whiskey by the handles, scented soaps, unlimited soups, a TJ Maxx, I gots to poops, a cold Diet Coke, a small fried fish. When hearts gather round, we have one wish. Oh wait, is that a spirit Halloween? It's Very Scary Delta!
I'm Delta Work, and this is Very Scary Delta, a luxury public access podcast and YouTube talk show where I look gorgeous, speak extemporaneously, and invite fascinating people to sit on the couch and get very scary Delta. Very Scary Delta is for the woman who's always ready for a graveyard smash. But first, let's get into some things that are very scary Delta.
Go off, Delta!
I got scammed. I got scammed on 2 social media platforms. You know, I count myself as sort of a wary person. I feel like I am also aware of things that are going on. I don't think that I'm gullible. I don't think that I'm susceptible, but I am. Apparently, I am gullible. I am susceptible, and I am absolutely and totally available to be scammed on social media. I was on TikTok. And I love seeing people go live. I love watching what's for sale in TikTok shop. I've bought from their crossbody bags as gifts. I've bought sweaters as gifts, shoes. I bought all kinds of stuff. Well, the other day I was on TikTok and someone was selling patio furniture. And it looked like a good deal. It didn't look like a crazy good deal. It just looked like a good deal. So I thought, well, this seems realistic. And let me save that account and maybe I'll look at it again. So I saved the account that was live. So I went to their place and saved it. And I thought the algorithm will bring it back if it's really like a thing. Well, the algorithm started bringing all kinds of people who were live that were people who had TikTok shops, I guess, within the whole TikTok shop, and they were all selling this furniture. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get in on this. So I made the purchase, and it says that this item will be delivered in 4 days. And on the 3rd day, there was no, it hadn't been shipped yet. And so I went to the account gone. So I'm like, okay, well, what do I do now? The seller is totally gone. And I go to the chat or whatever, which of course is AI generated. I get that. But still in my mind, I'm like, maybe somebody is overseeing these AI generated answers and is going to go, I think this person's really serious. They're missing their money. Let's jump into this conversation. I don't know if that happened or didn't happen, but they were like, oh, we're happy to let you know that we should be able to fix this. Happy? Should? No, you have the money. You've taken the money. I need a refund. So if the seller's gone, isn't that the responsibility of the mother company? Maybe not. I'm not saying I know or don't know. I'm just saying I wanted my money back. So I ended up getting my refund because they said, great news. We'll be able to get you a refund. Well, obviously, the money goes back in. I don't think about it anymore. So then I start thinking that furniture is not the most elite furniture. It's not the most expensive furniture. I wonder if somebody around here has one of those industrial park warehouses where they're selling something similar, if not the same thing, at a, slashing prices deal or something. So I go on OfferUp and I look on OfferUp and a few people have it. And then I think, what about that Facebook Marketplace? Maybe that's a thing. So I have someone use their Facebook Marketplace account to look for that. And we see one and someone says, hey, we are in Burbank and we're moving and we're getting rid of this. We have it available, and their price, I want to say, was like 190 or something. So I don't like bargain the price. I just say, we'd like to take it. And they say, okay. But I said, do you offer shipping? They said, we can deliver it to you for $30. Well, that's great. That's cheaper than a U-Haul, right? So I'm not going to have to go do it and get off my ass. So fine, $30. And then the person says, we've had a difficult time with a few people purchasing. So we are asking that you leave a small deposit for this item. It could just be the delivery fee or whatever. And so we thought, okay, well, I mean, that does make sense. So I said, cool. I sent over a Zelle for the amount of $50. I thought that seems fair. I want her to know I'm serious, whatever. And then around, I don't know, 5:30 or so, she sends an email over and says, hey, I know you said you were available for the rest of the weekend. Would it be okay to deliver it tomorrow in the morning between 9 and noon? Because we're going to be delivering one other thing, and it just makes sense for us if we're going to be out in the area. And we were like, yeah, that's cool. That sounds easy. Not a big deal whatsoever. So then the next day, send a message about 11:30 saying, hey, are we still on target? Nothing. Went to the person's Facebook account gone. So I'm just here to tell you, like, it really can happen to anybody. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm so wise and this would have never happened to me. No, obviously it did happen to me. It seemed legit to me, but that's the magic, right? That's the magic of the seduction of this. That's the magic of making it and painting it to look like, oh, this person's just like me. It's an art form. I feel like the scam is absolutely an art form. I am not interested in anything on Facebook Marketplace ever again. I don't even have a Facebook account. This is basically saying to you that I was so available to be seduced into the bargain that I was willing to use somebody else's presence to get to that deal, to find that deal. They didn't advertise anything to me. I went looking for it. Ooh, I hate that I got scammed. But I mean, it's possible, if not probable. It happened to me. Maybe it's happened to you. I don't know. I feel dumb, but at the same time, I feel validated because I'm like, you knew that this was a probability, not just a possibility, and you still let it happen. Don't you hate that? Do you ever like second guess yourself and then tell yourself, no, it'll be fine this time? Why would it be fine this time if I've known all along? When something is set up to look like just too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Ooh, I hate that. I'm glad it was only that. I'm glad it was only $50. What if it had been more? I mean, I'm stupid, but I'm not that stupid. You know what I mean? I'm rich. What's $50? $50. $50 is apps and Margies. Duh. I really needed my $50. Fuck! It makes me so mad to be scared. It doesn't make me mad that somebody else has my money. It makes me mad that I knew better. But I feel like, I don't know. Me and Vanity Halston always had this theory in life. We always used to say, I'm not above it, so I'll get below it. And I don't know where we came up with that or why we used to say it, but it was just our way of saying like, we're not too good for something. Do you know what I mean? Like I never feel too good for something. That's why I think it's fine to like joke about these things, about having money or being rich or being sophisticated. Like you create the story in your mind, right? You know, elegance, sophistication, luxury. It's all something about your behavior, not what you possess. So it's how you conduct your life, how you treat other people, how you see situations, how you hold the space, and how you give people the benefit of the doubt. This person that was selling this, I like to think maybe they were at their wits' end. Maybe they just had no other recourse. Her avatar, or whatever you called her little like profile picture, was her holding her baby. And in my mind, the only thing I could think is maybe she was so desperate. Maybe she was moving. Maybe she was so desperate to be in a situation she thought, let me just give this last ditch effort to see if there's some poor soul out there who will send me $50. Maybe she needed it more than I did. I don't know. That's all I can think. That's the only way I can wrap around the fact that I was boo da foo for sending money electronically. I knew better than that. Damn. Do you want to see me take a break? because I think you want to see me take a break. Today's guest is an internationally tolerated drag queen, an actress, a singer, and the queen of all queens. It's Jinkx Monsoon.
Hi, Delta.
Hi.
Thank you. It's been a long time since we've seen each other.
Yeah, it has.
You look wonderful.
You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I've been playing around with being kind of like, well, since coming out as trans feminine not even really coming out, but making a bigger step towards trans
Sure.
feminine and beginning my medical transition, I've been having fun playing with like, today I'm going to wear a full face of makeup, but no padding and no wig. Or today I'm going to wear wig and makeup, but a corset, but no hips. Or just
Mhm.
kind of seeing, I don't know, just kind of blending it all together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's I think what everybody should be doing, right?
Like, I mean, why limit the things you love about drag to just while you're doing drag? I think, different strokes for different folks, but I've been having fun playing around.
I love that. And I think, don't people say, that drag is many times what we do, not necessarily doesn't have to be an expression of.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in drag anytime I'm an elevated, heightened version of myself, and there's something, it has to be head to toe, though.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like today, I was making sure I felt cohesive from head to toe, except I did do my makeup and hair for a different outfit that I had to nix at the last
Oh, what
minute.
outfit was that?
It was a green skirt suit, separates, but it was just a green skirt suit. It was very Lucille Bluth from Arrested Development.
Okay. Have you worn it before, or was it something new
I
to you?
did. I wore it a long, long time ago, and I tried on the jacket, and it fit again, and I was like, "Oh, yay, I can wear this again." But I hadn't tried on the skirt.
Oh. And did she fit soon or later?
We'll see. We'll see. She might never fit again. But I'm just so fine. I even keep the clothes that'll never fit again because of the sentimental value. I want to hand them down to someone someday. I wore this and this to the 2060s when we were, I don't know.
Do you often try things on that you haven't tried on before, or is it just?
It's been recent because in the last 2 years, I've lost a considerable amount of weight, but very like gradually and steadily.
Mhm.
But because I've been kind of busy and kind of focused on what I'm doing, I hadn't really taken stock on how much my body had changed. So I'm kind of just like revisiting things and seeing what clothes I might like again.
Mhm. And it's interesting when your body shifts. Sometimes it's not necessarily a gain, but a
Mhm.
repositioning on the body. It goes different places.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'm dealing with fewer things in some areas and more things in other areas,
Mhm.
And let's face it, you start to get cocky. You start thinking, I can. I was like trying on a tube top, and I looked in the mirror. I was like, what? Who the do you think you are wearing
What
this
kind of tube top was it?
Just black, just a
Uh-huh.
black tube top. But I was
Uh-huh.
looking at myself in the mirror, and I was like, you are a middle-aged woman. Take this tube top.
Oh, I think
Not that middle-aged women can't wear tube tops, but I'm working with a 1940s sensibility here, that I've self-imposed.
Yeah, yeah. And so you were born in the 40s, or?
Essentially, I don't
Uh-huh.
know. No, I was born in the late 80s, but do you have decades you're just fascinated with for just because you're like that? I mean, you wouldn't want to go back there because obviously, like,
Right.
this is the best time for us to be us right now, even with the shit. But do you have fascinations with that
I
past
do, and I
decades?
think that it has something to do with past lives, which I don't know enough about, and I wish I
Uh,
did. But I'm absolutely obsessed with any time between like 1890 and
mm.
1910.
Yeah, that's a
Really
good
I love the
time.
fashion. I love I just love
I mean,
everything
it's not
about
a
it.
good time, but it's a fascinating time.
Fascinating. Definitely the 20s as well,
Yes.
and the 60s.
The 20s and the 60s are these moments of revolution.
True.
And here we are again at this moment of revolution, and I feel so charged and so activated for it. And even though I'm scared and I know that a lot could still happen and there's a cautious optimism, I'm like, trying to remember that there have been moments in history where we fought these battles, not us, but our ancestors or us in our past lives. We fought these battles before and we have won them before. And
Mhm.
if this is just another battle in the long road to what should have been ours already, then I'm just like I'm feeling hopeful we're gonna win this one too.
It's important that you said that because I haven't heard anyone really say that or verbalize that sentiment. And I think there's so many people that are confused right now, scared,
Mhm.
don't know which direction to look in. And to hear that is something that I need to hear,
Mm,
but everyone needs to hear. And you're very active with the a political action committee.
mm.
Tell us about that.
Well, I guess it's that, I don't know. I was totally one of those people who was just like, I don't understand politics, so I'm gonna
Right,
just turn away from it, right?
right.
And then things shifted when Obama won because it was like, wait, there's something to be excited about within politics. There's opportunities for change.
Hmm.
But still, I was kind of on the outside, not really actively thinking and involved and actively participating in the conversations. And then when Trump started gaining traction with the things he was saying, like here I was thinking, he's saying these horrible things that's going to kill his chances of being president. And it was helping him. And I was so confused, and this is I don't how many years ago, but I was so confused and I was like, "This is not right. Something's going wrong. Something's," and I just immediately started talking about it. I just was like, "Well, you, Donald Trump, you made me give a shit." And now once you get activated, it's really hard to turn it back off because once you lift that veil and start to see things for real and
Hmm.
stop swallowing the bull and stop denying the things that are right in front of you because it's easier and more convenient and less painful to deny it. Once you pull it all away, there's no way you can go back, right? It's like
Sure.
the Matrix.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we are on the precipice of something.
I
Something
feel
is
it
about to
too.
happen, not just politically or socially, but seasonally because it's about to be fall. Are you a summer person, a fall person?
I am all the way a fall person.
Yeah.
I was born in the fall. I love the weather in the fall. I was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, so our falls it's like it's fall.
Right.
And it's not like what you get in Connecticut. It's its own special thing.
Sure.
And there's a smell in the air in fall that I'm just like addicted to. It's that
Mhm.
smell of like the leaves drying and baking, but then maybe there's been a little rain, so there's the wet grass and the drying leaves, and there's still sun, but there's like wind coming. It's the combination of all the elements coming together that I really love fall.
Are you a Halloween person?
Yeah. Okay. So Jayla and we do our annual holiday show.
Mhm.
And that means for the last like 7 years, we've kind of forfeited Halloween.
Sure.
You got Christmas and Halloween, Pride, and New Year's. These are like the drag high holidays. Like these are when we make our money. But to work so heavily in one holiday, you got to give up
You
the
do.
one that's too close to it. So we kind of let go of Halloween so that we can invest in Christmas. But as a kid, it was definitely my favorite time of year because it was the only time of year I got to dress up and not be
Right.
treated like shit for it. And my mom and I would always kind of play tug of war of what I wanted to be and her making like the male version of it, but still helping me feel
I love this.
like I was in the costume I wanted. Like when I wanted to be a witch, she helped me be a wizard, but I still wore a witch hat and I still wore a dress, but we made it look like a robe. And
Mhm.
my family always let me do that at home. Just they were very careful to warn me of what I would face out there. They didn't tell me I couldn't do it. they just told me what it would be like, and I, as a young kid, was like, "Okay, if I blend in, people will be nicer to me." 'Cause I couldn't blend
Yeah.
in.
That's an interesting I've never heard anyone say it that way because I sort of experienced something
Mhm,
similar. I always wore this devil costume ever since I
mhm,
was,
mhm.
maybe 6 years old up until 10, and because it had tights. It had red
Uh-huh,
tights,
uh-huh, uh-huh.
and it had a cape that swung around that was short, and I remember always wanting to wear it, and I know that and then I had shoes, like dress shoes, like church shoes maybe,
Mhm.
that made a tapping
So you
noise.
could
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
you
I
get it.
loved my dress shoes for
Yeah.
that reason. Yes, I totally hear all of this. At home, I had this red Afghan blanket. It was like a loose, cable knit Afghan blanket, and I was obsessed with 3. I was just obsessed with, like, Liesl von Ruhmen. I started watching Death Becomes Her
Uh-huh.
at, like, 5 years old, and I was obsessed with Morgana the goose from, Darkwing Duck,
Okay.
very old reference for cartoons, and then Morticia Addams, of course.
Mhm.
So this red Afghan blanket had so many, like, pieces to it that I could wrap it really tightly around my body
Oh,
and tie little
heavenly.
knots and make, like, a really tight, like, Morticia dress. So in my family album, every picture, I'm in this blanket, and sometimes I'm wearing it as a cloak, and sometimes it's fully over me because sometimes I wouldn't want people to look at me, so I'd wear it as, like, I'm a ghost, don't pay attention to me. Sometimes it was Morticia. We find our ways to do those
We
things
do.
whether we're allowed to or not.
That's really cool. I mean, I've never had a conversation with somebody about something so similar.
Yeah.
And this idea too that your parents were saying, it's not that we don't want you to do what it is you want to do. You just have to
Mhm.
be aware. My mother was really the same way when we did as I was becoming older, having those conversations about being out. And like she said, I have no problem with this. My
Mhm.
concern is that I won't be around when
Yeah.
someone is going to hurt you, and they will hurt you.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, and my mom, she had, many, gay male friends,
Mhm.
and I met them as a young kid. And of course, I came out of my mother queer as the day is long. Like, as soon as I could talk, it was very clear who I was, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, her friends, her gay male friends, would tease her, like, like they could see it, right?
Yeah.
And then she lost some of those friends to AIDS.
Mhm.
And I think that planted a seed of fear that she had to see was by the time that I was a queer person, there was enough education and resources. And now we're in a completely different place. But I do give her the benefit of the doubt that she was just actually quite afraid of losing her firstborn.
Yeah, that makes sense. Since you do like Halloween, but kind of have to forfeit that,
Mhm.
and you loved, I'm assuming, trick-or-treating when you were a kid? Were you allowed to
Yes.
go out
Oh, yeah, yeah,
trick-or-treating?
yeah. I loved trick or
Yeah. Do you
treating.
like Halloween candy?
I do.
Do you
Yeah,
do?
yeah.
Do you have, any dietary restrictions when it comes to Halloween
No,
candy?
no,
No?
no, I'll try anything
Yeah.
once.
I have a small gift for you.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Halloween, sweet treat, as they say, and I just think it's
Oh
just
my
your
god, this is
your flavor profile.
this is the thing I hate most.
I hate it the most too.
Who does anyone like this anymore? And when people tell you they like black licorice, don't you feel like they're just
They're trying to be cool, like, "I'm different."
I've tried every way I can to try to like
Mhm.
this flavor. I don't like it at all.
There's the base in it, that anise will be in, like, certain sausages, and I like that. You don't like that profile?
Okay, so I can. It's just gotta be right.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I
when I
hear
was
you.
a drunk, I loved, um, Jaeger, but also, oh my god, Moulin Rouge absinthe.
Semen. Oh no.
I mean that too. But I loved absinthe. I never had the stuff that makes you go cuckoo, but I liked that. And that has, I think it's chartreuse or something. I don't know what it is, but it's a very similar flavor. But I liked it because there was a whole ritual around it, and the flavor was like, you accept the flavor as part of doing this really strong liquor shot,
Right.
you know?
Ceremonial in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
True. Oh, I can remember there was a time when I thought it was really, really cool to tell everybody I smoke cloves exclusively.
Oh, yeah.
And the
yeah,
thing about
yeah.
it is like consistent, if you're a smoker and you consistently smoke those, it's kind of hard because it's like smoking perfume in a way. It's more like I'll have one at the party
Yeah.
and you can enjoy it, I feel like. I don't know.
I definitely had a long history with cloves.
Did you?
Because they're so, I mean, come on. First of all,
It's like a treat.
I hate romanticizing smoking, but we grew up when we grew up and it was all around us, right?
Yeah.
And so the women we worshipped often had, there's nothing better than gesturing with a cigarette, There's
It's just the
something about
extension
it.
of a cool cocktail ring.
Exactly. I don't even need it to, I like holding stage cigarettes too. Like I always try to find ways to have a stage cigarette in my shows, even if I never it's a stage cigarette, but I just love doing the Betty Davis, right? This distracts you.
Gesticulations. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Now I do smoke things, but it's just strictly weed these days.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all I do. I've whittled all my vices down to just the weed, but I do that ad nauseum.
Yeah, but if it if it mellows you out or helps you to a different understanding of yourself, why not?
It really just kind of, it's I think of it as like the caramel topping on my cocktail of medication that helps me function.
Fair enough. Let's take a break. We are back with Jinkx Monsoon, and I had a question because I'm super curious about Monsoon Manor.
This is so perfect. Okay, because Monsoon Manor, the inhabitants of Monsoon Manor we're all huge, very Delta fans.
Okay.
Like, especially, I mean, I love your observations because you point out things that I'm like, yes, thank you for putting it into words, and thank you for being like, no, I'm done with this. And on your platform, telling people, this is dumb, stop doing it. Like red wig vibes. It just, it makes me so upset that people are abusing an otherwise fascinating language such as English. But yes, Monsoon Manor. I bought this house in 2017, and it's me and some chosen family members. And then we have a tiny house in the backyard that a friend rents. So there's 4 people on the property, 3 in the main house. There's about to be 3 cats in the main house and 1 cat in the tiny house.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that you have these cats. Tell me about your cats.
Okay, so there's Tildy, she's like my daughter. And there's Inky, who's like this, he's part Maine Coon, and so he's just really, really big, and he's very lazy, and he's scared of nothing. Tildy's very particular. She's all black. She's just, I don't know, she's a queen. She's royalty. And I'm about to adopt a little orange cat that we've named Myrtle. And I'm hoping she's going to get the older cats off their asses. But I'm so glad you asked about it because I thought this would be the perfect place to talk about something that really bugs me.
Yeah, it is.
I spend a lot of time in Airbnbs these days. If I'm doing a long stint, rather than a hotel, I want to live somewhere that feels like I'm living somewhere, right? I want to have a kitchen, right? So, spend a lot of time in Airbnbs. There's rules that people will set while you're staying in their house where it's like, I get it. If you want to set certain rules to make sure I don't break anything, to make sure I keep your house looking the way you prefer it to look, But then there are rules that I'm like, don't insult my intelligence, please,
Okay.
or don't treat me like a child. And that there are rules that extend past being a host and setting boundaries and go into trying to tell me how to live my life.
Okay.
Right? Like, you know, I get no smoking in the house, but no smoking on the property. Like, it's like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm going to smoke outside. It's weed, it's legal. You wouldn't tell an alcohol drinker that they can't drink alcohol on the property because no one would rent your property because this is America, right?
Mhm.
And this is America. But this is my all-time favorite one. This is the best example I can think of. Above the garbage disposal was a sign that said, "Do not put food in the garbage disposal. That's not what the garbage disposal is for."
Oh,
And I was like, it's one thing if like your garbage disposal is old, it doesn't work very well.
sure.
Don't put food in it because it's not going to work. But to then follow it up with, that's not what a garbage disposal is for. I would love for you to tell me what it's for then. What is it for then? Why would anyone else put a grinder in their sink if all you do is put water in it? Like,
Right.
what are you grinding if it's not food waste?
That's such a real question because I know people who also abide by that and they believe that. I'm just so curious. Like, I'm not
Then
gonna
what?
throw away
Then
like a
what?
pot of soup
No, I'm not gonna
in the
like
trash
what
can.
sneakers. It's like, what are you? I'm not putting weird shit down there.
Right.
If you think about where it's going, let's all think about it for a second. These pipes, they're connecting to similar pipes that your toilet connects to.
Right.
So it's just food
You're
matter
cleaning off
and
scraps of
waste.
food, some green
Yes, going to
beans.
the same place,
Yeah.
all to be processed the same. You don't put condoms down a garbage disposal. No, you don't put like your fingernails down there, your arm down there. No, you put food waste down there.
Yeah. Well, here's the other question. If you can't smoke in the house because it smells up the house,
Mhm.
how come there's not a rule that says you can't cook fish in here?
Right? It's like here's my thing is I don't mind following rules
Right.
that make sense. Make it make sense to me, and I'm happy to follow your rule. If I find a rule that is superfluous and that is only serving your ego or your preference, but there's no actual practical application of this rule,
Mhm.
I'm going to be very upset that you're asking me to follow it
Right.
because it makes me feel like you don't trust me to make my own wise decisions. And it makes me feel like instead of being a guest in your house, I'm like some kind of prisoner or something, you know?
True, true. I try my best to use like a throwaway towel or something to take my
Uh-huh.
makeup off, but I think there should be a reasonable expectation that a pillowcase or a towel is probably going to have residual foundation on it, but I'm not going to color my hair at your house
Exactly.
and use your beach
Well, and
towels.
here's the thing is, I know that these rules are set because people
Have done it.
have done it. Of course. I know, like the Airbnb I'm in right now. And
Uh-huh.
first of all, I've stayed in wonderful Airbnbs as well. Really chill hosts who are like, when we had an Airbnb, I was like, I want it to be just easy. Like you could smoke weed in the house, you couldn't smoke nicotine in the house because that actually, but you could vape nicotine in the house because vaping doesn't leave a smell.
Mhm.
Cigarettes do. Weed kind of does, but it's not the same. Anyway, rules that make sense.
Could
That's
you
all
smoke a
I think
ham in the
about.
house? Was that
Yes,
okay?
absolutely.
You
I
could do
have
that.
done that. Yeah.
Yeah. And also restricting somebody from smoking outside. You're in the air.
You
You're
don't
in
own
the
the
air.
air. You don't own the air around your house. I know you own
Yeah.
the grass around your house, but not the air.
Right. You talked about how you're getting ready for the holiday season. I mean,
Mhm.
this is right now. It's interesting because you mentioned also we do look at our year as this is Pride season.
Yeah, yeah,
By the end
yeah.
of Pride season, this should be in place. By the end of
Uh-huh.
this should be in place. But January, you have another huge role coming up.
Oh, I'm very excited about
I'm
this.
excited about it.
So, okay, so it's an older show,
hmm
obviously. Anything goes. I think it's from the 1920s. It's Cole Porter. Cole Porter wrote amazing music. It's a very silly, campy, kind of comedy of errors kind of show. I'm just really, really excited, and we're gonna really queer up this very old musical. And what I love about that is Cole Porter, of course. I mean, there's a lot of queer coding in Cole Porter's music because he was queer, but it was also the 1920s, so he couldn't
Sure.
openly be queer. But in the 1920s, you kind of could be queer in entertainment as long as you didn't confirm you were queer. Because in the 1920s, vaudeville had like female impersonators. That's where the term female impersonator comes. Anyway, I could go on and on and on.
And you should.
Homophobia is not natural to America
Right.
until the 1950s when they started a conceited effort to convince us that that was always how it's been.
Mhm.
But like, no, it hasn't always been safe for queer people, but it hasn't always been that everyone hates them.
Mhm. I mean, but I feel like you've lived your life, especially your public life after Drag Race, sort of addressing these things and being in these spaces, taking up space, not just because, but because you should and because you have something to add to these spaces, including on Broadway. But when we had Trixie here, I was talking about that I was driving home the day before and I stopped and I looked at this bus right outside of where I went to high school. I was right around the corner and there was Trixie's face. And I thought to myself, I know her.
Yeah.
I know her. And this is a representation of me. Even though I'm not doing that work, that is, for all intents and purposes, me there.
Yes, yes,
And so when
yes.
you do this and you played Mama Morton, you were there, yes, doing something, your craft, but it represents so many people.
It's this really incredible thing that we've never experienced as drag queens
Mhm.
before, and that's abundance.
Mhm.
Now, for years, there was only like one role for anyone different, right? For years, it's like, we've got a drag queen role. It's 2 lines. There's no real substance to it. Let's call all 20 girls in, right? Let's call however many drag race girls we can. Choose one of them, make them all mad at each other,
Right.
or whatever version of it is. And it's just that there was a scarcity for us for so long.
Right.
That the competition on Drag Race, it's like you're signing up for it, right? You're like, I'm going to do a competition. But then afterwards, the competition in our industry, it was dividing us when obviously we need to be united right now. And this new abundance is making it so easy for us to celebrate one another.
Mhm.
And it's making it like it's making it fun when you see someone doing something and having success because there's enough for us where everyone can have their place in it. You know, you can be a singer, but you could sing country or you could sing pop or you could sing rock and you can actually make a career as a rock star and a drag queen,
Mhm.
or as a comedian and a drag queen. And it used to be that you couldn't be both and be in the mainstream. And now you can. And that's part of why I fight so hard, is because I never thought we'd get this much in my lifetime. I was ready to be happy with much less.
Mhm.
And now that I see what we've been given and the opportunities that have opened up for us. And like you said, one opens up an opportunity for another, and a step forward for one of us is a step forward for all of us. And when we show up and do the work well, then they trust us more on the next project. I will be damned if anyone takes this away from us. Like,
Yeah.
how dare they? How dare they? It's like imbuing a creature with sentience and then trying to say, "Okay, now go back to being dumb." It's like, "Sorry, honey. I'm sorry. We already went down the rabbit hole. We already know there's a wonderland. Like, you're not gonna make me go back."
True, true. And speaking of these opportunities and these possibilities, if not probabilities, Carnegie Hall.
This is, I mean, I'm still wrapping my mind around it, but I'm really glad that Dayla's come on to
Yeah.
direct and co-write with me.
And two people not afraid to mention other names in a room full of opportunity. And people are afraid to do that, but the two of you are in your lives in different ways.
Well, since we met each other,
Yeah.
we've gone like this.
Yeah.
And the more like our lives ebb and flow together. We have independent lives, but we find ourselves at these really pivotal moments at our lives and pivotal moments with our community, and it's really, really special to have someone who you share such a like mind with during times that can be tumultuous or challenging. Like, your friendship with Raja is a famous one, right? Like, you have been in this business of drag a long time, so you have those deep-rooted sisterships that, like, what? Ow! I gesticulate so wildly, I just hit myself in the eye. Where would we
Is it
be?
gonna fall out? Is it the glass one?
No, no, no.
Okay.
It's just the teeth that are fake.
Okay.
Where would we be without our sisters, right?
Right.
That's the hardest part of Drag Race, is when you're there and it's like you might have friends there, but you're not guaranteed to have your chosen family there.
Sure.
Although by the end of it, they're usually your chosen family.
Yeah, I love that.
Because you go through it with them.
Yeah. What do you think is the magic with you and Dayla?
Trust.
Yeah.
Just absolute trust. And the trust comes from pushing our ego out of the way. And it didn't happen on its own. It was continually making the choice to be better friends to one another. Because when you both are used to being the star, the choice to share the stage means you have to share it.
1,000%. 1,000%. I know I gave you candy that you didn't like, but do you like fruit chews?
I do.
Now, do you have a special kind? Because I actually do like the Tootsie Roll fruit chews.
I love those, and they're so hard to find. You only find them at Halloween.
You only find them at Halloween. But what about Starburst?
I love Starburst.
Rank these colors.
That's
those
all four.
How
Okay.
come they don't have a green?
They do it, this is your go-to Starbursts. This is your standard Starburst. We got pink, strawberry, yellow, lemon, red, cherry, orange. Now, they've started catering to their audience. A while ago, they did tropical Starbursts and sour Starbursts. But now, did you know you can get Starbursts that are all red flavors from all their different branding offshoots? So it's like the red from this and the red from their tropical and the red from their sour.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
It's
That's
called
curated.
Flavorids.
That's curated.
Yeah, you can get a big bag of them, and it's just all red flavors and pink, because pink's, it's
I've
like a
seen
red.
all pink Starburst bags.
Yeah, and I see, but that to me is taking, like, I like pink too, right? We all like a little pink, but
Two in the pink.
yeah,
Some
sure.
people.
I can take two at once.
Yeah.
But if you only have pink, then it's not special, right?
Well, and here's my thing. I kind of feel like the pink is supposed to be strawberry, right?
yeah,
I feel like it's more strawberries and cream.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Whereas
How
the
come the others
cherry
didn't?
is like, that's
Cherry.
Yeah.
Cherry. It is.
So when I was a kid, I would eat them, they come in an order, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I would reorder them so that I would eat them in my favorite order, and then I'd start again. So I'm a Virgo, so it had to be patterns, right? So I would go orange, pink. So I had my, the one I had to get out of the way, but then a reward for getting it out of the way.
Uh-huh. I understand this
Then
theory.
lemon is like, if I had to choose between cherry and lemon, it's cherry. So lemon's just a hair behind cherry, but oftentimes, like I said, I would eat them together, and then you got cherry lemonade.
Do you apply this theory to eating
Everything.
chips?
Everything.
Yes, I do too. I look at it and I'm trying because you'll
And you
get one
plan
where
how
you're
to
like,
eat it.
that's a good chip right there. I'm gonna have to save it. Because sometimes they double up or
Right?
something in the fryer. I don't know what happens.
Right? And then I'm gonna take these. I just
You
want to
can.
keep the
We have a whole
conversation
thing.
going.
And take
But
as many as you
okay,
want.
do you have certain drinks you like with certain foods?
Yes, for sure.
We talked a little bit before the camera, but I am also someone who needs Diet Coke to be as cold as you can get it. And because I like it so cold, and because I'm often in Airbnbs and they don't have ice trays or a way to make ice, because that's, I guess, too much. Oh, this is another thing I hate.
Tell me, I'm
They take
listening.
the ability to run a bath away from you
What do you
because
mean?
they take all the stoppers out and make it impossible. So there's no stoppers there because they don't want you running up their water bill. It's
Is
like,
that true?
yeah. They
I
make sure
never
that you
would have
can't take
thought
a
about
bath.
that.
And little things like the one I'm in right now, the hair dryers are attached to the wall. They're like hotel hair dryers built into the
Uh-huh.
wall. And I'm like, I'm not trying to steal your hair dryer.
Wow. Wow.
Anyway, I got off track. Oh, the mini cans.
Okay.
This is my hack. It's too small to get warm while you drink it.
Oh, that's
It's
a good
gone before
idea.
it gets warm.
Yeah. You know what you can also do if you do need ice is you can get a Ziploc bag and fill it with water, lay it flat in the freezer, and then once it gets
Oh.
cold, just break it apart with a can.
This is okay. This is why drag queens are so good at so many things.
Let's take a break. We are back with Jinkx Monsoon, who is high on Starburst.
Yeah, I've got 2 out of the way, and now I've just got my favorite 2 for after.
This is the part of the show called Read Me Delta, where
Yeah.
people will send in letters.
Read me Delta!
Okay. Dear Very Delta and iconic guest, longtime listener, first time writer, my name is David, and my boyfriend and I were running errands when a question came up. What stores make a strip mall very Delta? What constitutes a good strip mall? Is it the size of the parking lot? The variety of stores? If so, what specific stores on that list make it a necessary and viable place? Is it a drive-through, a nail salon? Maybe it's the ability to do all of your errands in one place. We'd love your opinion and your guest's opinion. We know Delta Co. likes to fry the small fish, as they say. Yours, Very David and Very Greg. What
Mhm.
about for you? Do you often go to a strip mall?
A strip mall? What makes it a good strip mall? I'm usually at strip malls to get my nails done, and then I'll knock out any errands I can. So yeah,
Yeah.
diversity of store.
When you get your nails done, what's your request? What's the shape? What's the story?
I used to do acrylics and do long claws, right? And I loved it, and it's a bitch to keep up.
Mhm.
And then so for years I was doing press-ons. Now I just do a gel manicure, and I
Mhm.
just do a color that works for whatever I got going on. And
Is there a color you would probably never do?
okay, so because I wear all black in my day-to-day life,
Mhm.
I can't do light colors because if I scratch myself or if I'm like putting on my clothing, the nails will start to pick up
Oh, that's
the
true.
black. And so when I tried to do like pearly pink or nude nails, they'd always end up looking really.
Dingy.
So yeah, I do dark nails.
Yeah, I hear that. You know, I feel like I do love a mall, and I miss the experience of going to the mall for the day,
Yeah.
right? When there'd be so
When
many stores.
when you were a teenager and that was like, what are your plans for the day? Going to the mall, and
Yeah.
that's all you needed, and you and your friends get to entertain yourself for
Yeah.
5 hours.
You would be in the air conditioning. That was one thing that was great, right?
Food
Food
options.
options, maybe a movie theater option.
Yeah, that kills 2 hours right there.
Yeah.
An arcade.
Yeah.
I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and the mall we went to all the time was Lloyd Center.
Okay.
And that was like where the teens hung out. And now this mall is completely empty. It didn't survive the pandemic. And any Portland developers watching Very Delta right now, what we need to do is take Lloyd Center, turn it into like community low-income housing. It
Mhm.
is right there, ready for it. Our city has an unhoused issue. There are women and children who need housing. Let's do it.
Smart. No, really. I mean, these places are available.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for a while.
Yeah. I mean, it makes complete sense. I do miss the mall. I feel like there was a point somewhere here, especially in Southern California, where the strip mall, there was someplace between a strip mall and a mall where it was like a big shopping center with those
Oh, yeah.
anchor stores, like there'd be a
Oh, yeah,
Costco
yeah,
or
yeah,
a
yeah.
Michael's or
Oh,
something
I
like
was
that.
just at one of those where it's like a strip mall, but it's also a little promenade, esplanade
Yes.
vibe. But then they got a giant Dave and Buster's.
Yes. I like that kind of a shopping center a lot. I like a shopping center that has a few big stores, restaurants. But if I have to have a strip mall, there has to be a donut shop,
Right.
a mom and pop donut shop. There's usually a liquor store.
Yeah.
Here on every corner, we have a cigarette shop or a smoke shop, a vape shop, something like that. Somebody's insurance company, Adriana's insurance,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And then usually a fast food chain like a Taco Bell or something like that sitting on the corner.
Or like an Applebee's,
Yes.
fast casual.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that kind of shopping center. Okay, next letter. Let's see what we have. Dear Delta and Jinkx, it's Halloween season, witches. My questions for the two of you is about dreams and nightmares. Recently, I've been having the same recurring nightmare. It's terrifying. I'm forced to walk in circles on a track, and every time I do a lap, a large beanbag is added to my back. As I continue to do laps on this track, the beanbags get heavier and heavier until my body can't take it anymore. The dream always ends up with my bones snapping and blood gushing. I always wake up as soon as my body hits the floor. It's not pleasant. Do either of you have any memorable dreams or terrifying nightmares? Please tell us. Happy haunting, Michelle from Spain. I mean, I think that sounds pretty, it sounds like it explains itself, but I always find when people interpret dreams, it might be the opposite of something.
Yeah. It's like, to me, what makes logical sense, right, is you're taking on too many
That's what I think.
projects or you're feeling overburdened.
Mhm.
However, dreams don't always make logical sense. And they asked if we've ever had a recurring dream. I had a recurring dream and it terrified me so much because I was like, what is making my brain do this to me? And the dream was that I had murdered someone
Mm.
a long time ago and covered it up. And now it's been uncovered and they're trying to figure it out. And I'm waiting to
Wow.
see if everyone, but like in the dream, I had repressed the memory of killing
Mhm.
the person. But when I start seeing the news reports, it starts coming back to me
Wow.
and it starts feeling familiar. And I realize in the dream, I'm the murderer, right? So I suffered with this silently for a while because I didn't want to tell anyone I was having this dream because I was like, this sounds like I'm a sociopath, right? And so then I finally tell my best friend about it. And then they look into some dream interpretation books and stuff. And then they tell me it's when you have dreams like that when you have a vice that isn't serving you.
Oh.
And if and your brain is trying to tell you want to
Makes
give it
sense.
up. And when I quit drinking, those dreams stopped.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I don't know. I mean, yeah, it sounds very Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill, like you take on too much and it's going to crush you. But who knows? Maybe it could be something about like you need more ice.
It could. It could.
In Spain, oh, Europe, you don't know ice.
No, Europe has no ice.
You've never had ice.
I have had a recurring dream that it sounds like I would be scared in the dream, but I'm always inconvenienced in the dream. And that is, I always have this dream that I'm driving, it's always at night, and I am on a road or a bridge that is not terribly high off of the water, and I crash my car into the water. But the car ends up kind of just sitting in the water and it doesn't really sink because it's not that deep. And I just think to myself, how am I going to get out of this? Like, what? I mean, this is so inconvenient. And I keep thinking of my mind in the dream is like, I just want to go home. Can I just leave the car here? Like, is anyone going to care? It's just like, that's my thought all of the time. I'm never hurt. I always swim right out of the water or walk off to the side. And I just sit there going, this is really
Is anyone
awful.
else thinking she's talking about this show right now?
I could be. It could be. Or it could be
I just
ice.
want to be home.
It could be ice. But the interesting thing about that is that I do have not an unreasonable, but a mentionable fear of bridges.
Sure.
So I do not like going on a bridge.
Yeah.
And I have accidentally like been routed onto a bridge before and thought to myself, like
This
I've
is
had
it.
the sweats driving it.
Yeah. I've avoided them my whole life, and now here it is. I let my guard down for
Yeah.
1 second, and here
Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
And even like here in LA, like there's like the 4th Street Bridge, which is like been redone and it's really pretty. And I mean, there's nothing below it. You're not going to hurt yourself. But I just get this like tense, like, and I got on it one time and I didn't realize. And when I got to the end of it, I almost felt like I should reward myself. Like I managed to get to the end of this, but the reward really wasn't necessary because I was still in fear of the bridge. So I was like, I better make sure I know how to get around this and go another way on the way home.
I highly suggest to this person, as we just sat here and talked about these things, look it up, because like
Yeah.
you'll spend all day trying to I guess there's like science to understanding why our brain gives
Yeah.
us certain messages, and I feel like dreams are this combination of our brain communicating to our mind,
Mhm.
but they're also like spiritual in the fact that like it's a liminal space where oftentimes you're self-aware in the dream, or like lucid dreaming. It's like once you realize you're dreaming, you can do whatever you want for
Right.
as long as you stay asleep or whatever. Um, there's something magical about dreams. It's not all science.
Yeah, I agree. I love
Yeah.
that. When you mentioned liminal spaces, I could sit and talk it's so intrigued with liminal spaces, right? There's something frightening, intriguing, magical, frightening and not frightening, familiar, deja vu. I don't know, all of it in one. Liminal
Yeah.
spaces are intense.
Well, it's like, yeah, there's just certain things that are innate to us as
Mhm.
humans. And I was just talking to someone else about this, and I actually really like the way I worded it, because I truly believe, you know, whether you believe in science or whether you're Christian or Jewish or like I'm a witch, whatever your connection is or whatever it is that you put your faith and stock and trust in, we're really all just talking about the same thing. We're
Sure.
talking about the same sources of energy, the same like unknowable things, the things we can't fully comprehend because we've only figured out so much at this point, We're all talking about the same things, just using different languages to say it. It's like, someone in France can say "mais oui," and I can say "yes, of course," and it both means the same thing, but we said it in different ways. That's
Mhm.
how I feel about it all right now. That's like, I mean, I'm so fed up with organized religion because it's like, it's like I don't get what gives any one religion the right to think that they're the right one,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like we have to have space for it all, or you're just being bad roommates to the other people who live on Earth.
1,000%. It really is that simple.
Yeah, it's
It
that simple.
actually is just that simple. And people want to complicate it with all of these, like, well, this book says
Whoa, this
this.
goes older than this, and this goes. You know what goes older than all of it? Paganism. So let's talk
Mhm.
about that. Let's talk
Mhm.
about the old gods, if you want to talk about what's the oldest. And then you go back from paganism, and there's even more. It's like we've always had different ways to say the same things. They just keep getting same stories just keep getting reinterpreted by new people,
Right.
but it all links back to the same questions, the same fears, the same anxieties, and the same ways of trying to explain it.
You're right. You're 1,000% right. Thank you for being here. This was so
No
fun.
problem. I loved being here. I'm such a big fan. And I'm really, really happy you have this show because
Thank
we
you.
need you.
Thank you. We have so much fun doing it, and it really is extra fun when there's people that like to just chit chat and
I
talk about
love to chit
anything.
chat.
You know, I love
Do,
that.
did you have family members who could just like sit and talk and talk and talk?
Yes, but I had family members that I loved to listen to.
Yeah.
Like I used to sit under the chair as a
Oh,
kid
me
and just
too.
listen.
I wasn't, I couldn't contribute to the conversations because it was adult talk.
Right.
And I didn't, a lot of it went over my head, but I would sit and watch the way the women would talk and smoke their cigarettes and
Mhm.
drink their tea on the front porch. And, or when they'd play Yahtzee. Like,
Uh-huh.
I just loved studying the women in my family because they all were performing for each other, but also being authentic. It was incredible.
My aunt used to have a beauty salon in the 80s, and I used to love to go spend summer daytimes there. And I would sweep and do things like that. But just listening to the ladies that would come in and chit chat and
Yeah.
talk about everything. And the other hairdressers would like have their lunch sitting at their station and reading Star magazine. All of that stuff was so important.
I love it. And that's why, like, when I'm in shows, I spend a lot of time in the crew areas because
Mhm.
they're all just, they get there so much earlier. And so they have the time to kind of just sit around and check in with each other. And I love being parts of those conversations.
Yeah, you learn a lot in the conversations and also being a
Yeah.
fly on the wall,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. Thank you all so much for listening and for watching Very Delta. Our show comes out every Monday. Subscribe to Mom Podcast YouTube channel and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. Search for Very Delta on your favorite podcast apps to listen to the audio-only version if you can't handle all of the visual beauty. You can also sign up for our premium offerings on Mom Plus Gold by visiting mompodcast.plus, where you get weekly episodes of more Very Delta. Don't forget to send all of your questions to readmedelta@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram at DeltaWork. Where can people find you on social media?
Oh, I just like to say Google it now,
Yeah.
Jinkx. But like, it'll take you everywhere. Just all you need to know is our names, and then the phone will do the rest for you.
It'll do it all for you. It'll do it all for you. Just Google that shiz. We'll see you next week. And until things, keep things very scary, Delta.
Very Delta is produced by Moguls of Media, aka Mom. Hosted by Delta Work. Produced and edited by Doug Robertson. Technical direction by Margot Padilla. With original theme music by Will Pitts. Media and design support by Stone Cold. And set design by Eris Sevilla. Executive produced by Alaska, Willem, Big Dipper, Camille Stennis, and Joe Cilio. Recorded at Forever Dog Productions.
And break that.
Mom! To listen to Very Delta ad-free, one day early, and to get access to more Very Delta and all of Mom Podcast's premium content, check out Mom Plus Gold at mompodcast.plus.